Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. And where is P Diddy? I think he went to some other place called parts unknown because he ain't in my parts unknown. I've done a thorough search. I've got radar. I've got Sadie, and she would spot something like that going on. But I guess most of you all know we've got a number of big stories to talk about in our current events that affect us, affect our country, affect our way of life, and what kind of a country and future we're going to have. So, the big one that's ongoing right now is this P Diddy Combs getting his home raided. Now, he didn't get a 6 a.m. boot in the door, okay, like we know at least three people got that, and none of them survived. So he got quite a bit of deference, and sure enough, he took advantage of it. But anyway, we'll talk about that and a lot of other things, and we'll probably get some updates if people here. Now, if people want to give us updates on what's going on, I'll tell you where I heard the situation is. They did the raids. P Diddy's got a black jet, and I think the tail number, I can't remember, it was 93199C or something like that. It's all over the internet, and they blocked the transponder from being published, so it's not something that can be tracked in real time. People have put up flight paths that appear to be conjecture and not the actual flight path, because Elon did the same thing. He had to block his flight paths and plans and things until I think 48 hours after he actually traveled. And so this character's got the same thing going on. He is a billionaire. So the story I heard was that he landed in Antigua. A lot of people said he was circling, they wouldn't let him land. But I heard he's landed in Antigua, and he's scheduled to take off in 3 hours. That's rumor. I don't know. But I don't know what the time is in that area. But if we go by Washington time, he's on the ground till around midnight. So who knows? There's a lot of things he could do. That's the latest report, other than the fact that he had his properties in California, Florida, and New York raided today on federal warrants, okay? The main one being S3X and then trafficking, right? And there's a lot of varied and sundry stories this guy's been involved in. And it's catching up to him. Hi, Wake and Trillium. How you doing? Kim, how you doing? Biker Rider. What's that? Dirt Biker E-Dirt Biker Rider. Ha ha. I'll just call you E-Dirt. Nikki, how you doing? Ian. Let's see. Kicking Bird. Diane's here. Kim's here. Let's see. Sherry's here. Sissy's here. How y'all doing? Garrett's here. Lone Wolf's here. Jet lag. Well, somebody's got jet lag. Going to have some jet lag. I think he's hours away. Personally, I think he's hours away from never walking freely again. Now, there's a lot of stunts he can pull. He may have already pulled. He pulled a stunt by getting his jet out of U.S. airspace. Something's going on with that timing. Okay. But when do birds sing? Okay, he didn't do this by himself. This stuff, he didn't do it by himself. Hi, Miss Bender Sue. Yeah, I got to check that notification bell. Make sure that thing's lit up. Cut it on, cut it off, and then cut it back on again, just to make sure it gets through. And that way you'll have a better chance of getting your notifications. If I missed anybody, hello, Mary. How are you, Jerry Lee? Yeah, arrest them all and do what Putin said to do and what Ron DeSantis said to do. I just finished eating a bunch of chocolate and peanut butter while I was trying to find out the flight path. So now, anyway, I got to keep my energy up. Hello, Gary. How you doing? David, nice to see you. So what could you do? It doesn't appear. Well, let me get this microphone out. I probably sound a little bit different. Let me see. And if that sounds better, folks. I keep the microphone in because I when I'm listening to broadcasts, it's hard to hear. So anyway, but then when I do a broadcast with that particular microphone, it doesn't do very well. Hi, Wayne, how you doing? Jerry Lee, how are you? Sin's here. Angela's here. So hopefully that removing that mic will help out single songwriter Pappy Two Bears. So hopefully that's better. You unsubbed. Don't do that. I didn't say unsub. I said the notifications. It looks like people are abandoning my channel if you unsub. I was saying cut off the notification bell and cut the notification back on. Never unsub. But that's okay. If you get a chance, go back in there and hit the sub. And if you're listening and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. The water's fine. You never know when something big's going to happen, and pow, you got nothing to do. You're sitting there eating a bowl of ice cream, and holy cow, I can come on and talk with Mountain Man about what's going on. We got a crazy man trying to escape the country in a ebony black lacquered Lear jet. So read the whole comment. I am subbed. Will resubmit when you leave. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, dip your toes in the water. So, but I appreciate you going through all that work to try to make it work. It is a pain, isn't it? There's Bubba. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. And I hope we want to hear from Robin. If you're listening to us, Robin. We're thinking about you. We know Wednesday was the big day. We want to update. So anyway, folks, while I was watching this drama, I heard jumping around that he had already been on a plane and was out of here while the raid was going on. And Fox News was what everybody was watching, at least, where I was watching, a lot of people. And, well, there were so many comments and stuff going by. I said he's already split in his jet. And because, there's a lot of places you can get information, especially about an international event like this. This guy's an international star. And already the memes are coming out. One of them shows a white Bronco. OJ's white Bronco, and somebody put in there with all the hundreds of cars behind him and cops. Remember that fiasco? And they put in there P Diddy. So the memes are starting to fly. Video clips are starting to fly. But then it finally came out. I mean, it hadn't been that long. Maybe 45 minutes or an hour ago that he had already taken off in his jet. So, how much more? Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot. But for us, future proves past. Okay, we knew these days were coming. We knew the hunters would be the hunted. Okay, and that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. We're going to be seeing a lot more of it. A lot of people had a question whether P Diddy was getting on the Trump train in the past. Was he like these other what's that guy's name? Snoop Poopy Poop and all these characters that have been coming out for Trump and stuff like that. And I knew he wasn't. And man, the internet is forever. There are people posting an interview he did. I don't know, was Charlemagne the God? I don't know who he thinks he is, naming himself that, but one of these influencers he was having an interview with, and he was talking about we got to get Biden in, we got to get Trump out. This was before the 2020 deal, and he said he was making reference to the stand by and stand down comment. How, you know, we got to protect our kids from that kind of racism, right? And yeah, protect kids. Well, that's what they're after you for, buddy, for what you've been doing with kids. But it started out with lawsuits that were flying, and he settled them out of court. One was a guy, I think his last name was Rodney or something, and they were, hey, pressuring him, coercing him. You can use the term bully, whatever. It was involuntary prostitution, okay? And it could be that, you know, hey, they can do that to men and they can do that to women too. And this guy was in social situations by himself, and all these influential people, and they were abusing him, you know. And then you have the unknowns. Like, what have we heard? What have we heard? One peep since I did a video well over a year ago called Shrinking Dark. I meant to say that the dark that they could hide in was shrinking because there was a lawsuit filed. Minor youngsters against the cast of Saturday Night Live, okay? And I drew the parallels, how these lawsuits have consistently ended up in criminal charges. Lawsuits against Next, okay, all right? Lawsuits against John of God, right? Lawsuit against, with Nexium, that brought down Allison Mack, the Supergirl star. It also brought down the heir to the Seagram's fortune, also brought down Keith Raniere. And then you have Harvey Weinstein, he was getting sued, and now he's sitting in jail. R. Kelly, he was getting sued. That developed into criminal charges. He's currently doing 40 years. Ghislaine Maxwell, her and Jeffrey E. got sued, right? Before Trump got in, they had it pretty good, thought they settled everything, and were skating. She's sitting in a joint for 20 years, and God really does know what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. When I say God knows what happened to Jeffrey Epstein, it's true. So I could go on, I'm sure. I just don't have all that stuff written out in front of me, but you have all these elitists, okay? Billionaire elitists that have been, hey, the head of the Justice Department and the people who are supposed to be enforcing the laws and protecting us, protecting our children, protecting our way of life in their pocket, didn't they? Well, they don't now. But it is odd, because I was thinking, you know, if they went through this trouble to do simultaneous raids in 3 different states across the entire United States, coordinated, I thought to myself, there's no way he's not in custody. Because you talk about a flight risk. Somebody with $1 billion and their own private jet, multiple jets, multiple residences, buckets of money. But he wasn't. That was odd. Well, maybe they wanted to let him run, see where he went. Maybe they're monitoring. I don't care if he's got a satellite phone. I don't care what he's got. They're going to know who he's talking to. So it's a cat and mouse game. And as I talked about last night, game theory. All right. Moves and counter moves. Sometimes you let them lead you to secret things. So what a day. I mean, you have MSNBC all in a dither because Ronna McDaniel's been hired. Anderson Cooper's mad from CNN that she's working for the news organization that they have a lock on. You know, all these DEI media institutions. So Rachel Maddow, all the anchors on MSNBC are mad. But you have people going, oh, Ronna McDaniel's a rhino. Ronna McDaniel did this. Ronna McDaniel's no good. You know, I got to tell you something, folks, to think about. And I've said it. I've said it about Sessions. I've said it about Bill Barr. I've said it about McCarthy. To think about this, I said it about Vivek. You know, you got to have people on the inside. If everybody who associated with the baddies, we didn't listen to, we evicted from our minds, we excoriated and didn't pay them no mind, well, maybe we need to do that for optics. But you get people on the inside. And how do you get it on the inside? Like I said, if you want to trip up the devil, sometimes you got to dance with him. So here's Ronna McDaniel. She's in charge of the RNC. What happened? Her words and the press reports, all that aside, what's the end result? We've evicted the rhinos, and the eviction is ongoing. We've drained the coffers, the war chests of the Mitt Romneys and the Karl Roves and all these creepos. And who's running the RNC now? Well, if Ronna McDaniel was an evil genius and such a smart person working for the baddies, she didn't do him any favors. I'll put it that way. Now, where is she? Where is she? Having a sip of my coffee. She's on the inside now at MSNBC, and you're going to hear things. You're going to read things. You're going to have stuff put under your nose. You're going to be able to give this inside scoop. You know, just a thought. And so anyway, it's going to be exciting. We got this going on. P Diddy. We got Ronna McDaniel getting the FAKE news all in a dither. We got Trump. He said the magic word today, cash. They reduced his bond. And up until this drama that exploded onto the social media stratosphere, up until then, what was it? Everybody waiting for Letitia James to seize Trump's property. All these people rubbing their hands together and hoping for a humiliation, the schadenfreude of enjoying seeing Mr. T and his family suffer. Well, they got let down again. They got let down again. And Trump, you know, of course, what he's saying is right. He shouldn't have paid a damn thing. And it's ridiculous. And he says that they should be forced to say, Judge Engoron, how does this third, fourth rate prosecutor, how can they sway you so much to defy appellate courts? Now, he can't defy the appellate court this time. He can't do it. because for him to proceed, he would have to order some kind of enforcement action, marshal or state law enforcement, to actually do a kinetic and physical uh, uh, chain the door off or post a sign on the door. Letitia would have to take something to a courthouse to have stamped as far as a seizure lien or notice of Liz Pennons, or, well, I'm just digging up stuff from my past. I'm not an attorney. And the clerks wouldn't respond to it because the higher court said stop, right? Whoa, wait a second. Oh, Bev and Mike can stop by, buy me a coffee, and they got me on the big screen, said I'm the best. Well, that's good. I'm a star. So I appreciate that, Bev and Mike. I really do. And I see MS Motorsports. That's somebody else. So we hope you're doing well. You had to undergo some trials and tribulations, right? And you know, keeping your privacy and stuff, you know, the medical issues, we want to make sure everybody's coming out of stuff like that okay. Angela, how you doing? Gloria's here. Let's see. So we had at least those three things happen today that are just red letter days, bad days for the well, who are they? It's like Mr. T says, who are these people? And we're starting to see who they are, you know? And I saw in there earlier, birds of a feather flock together. That's exactly right. Show me your friends, I'll show you. But if you've never seen the movie Donnie Brasco, it's a perfect example. Joe Pistone worked for the FBI, and he went deep undercover into the mafia. And he put into motion historic arrests. Over 100 guys in the Colombo family went down, and the only way they could do it was get in on the inside. So remember what 17th letter said. What is a plant? What is a plant? So yeah, they're not going to know how to act in that MSNBC newsroom with Ronna McDaniel sitting there. If they thought she was so great, why are they having such a fit about her? Now, somebody could have tipped off this P Diddy character, because they said his past history on his plane was that it had been coming and going from different locations, and throughout the week. I don't know. You know, I think some people are speculating. They want to get the clicks. They want to act like they got information nobody else has got. But I'm going to be real. I'm going to use my brain and say to myself, somebody with a lot of money, a lot of contacts, you know what kind of deals they got to make and with what kind of people they got to make those deals with. Somebody tipped them off. Somebody tipped him off because, like I said, you wouldn't coordinate this big of an operation without making sure you knew where that person was and they couldn't go anywhere. And before he was discovered that his jet has gone to Antigua, because the thing to keep in mind was he even on the jet? Is he on the jet? Does he have a look-alike? Somebody posted on Instagram that he supposedly got off the jet in Antigua with nothing but a black towel wrapped around his waist. Come on now. You know, hey, you don't know what you're dealing with. Could he be? Because people were saying he shouldn't be allowed to cut off his transponder. He shouldn't be allowed to do this and do that. Listen, if they think he's going to rat people out, the feds ain't going to be the only ones looking for him. Okay. How many people have we heard say, I am not, whaticidal. I am not, I love it. I love meeting people. I love watching the sunrise. Make sure everybody knows I am happy. You know how many people do that? So wouldn't surprise me if that was a ruse. And if he is a valuable witness, he'd be in a situation like Ouchie, Dr. Ouchie, right? Riding around with marshals. My personal opinion is Ouchie he'll never have a freedom of movement again. He'll always have to have people accompanying him. And at some point, the truth will come out as to what his status actually is. Well, sometimes people are allowed to be out and about, supervised, detained for all intents and purposes, but performing a function. That might end up to be the case with P Diddy. I wouldn't be surprised if a plane disappeared in the ocean. And then we get a thing like we heard from Megyn Kelly about Epstein. We might be hearing, she had a feeling that we'd be hearing, not a feeling, she said she heard from a very good source that we would be hearing from Epstein very soon. Epstein himself. Now, does that mean a pre-recorded message? A letter? I don't know. But the bottom line is, the music industry, Michael Jackson alluded to it. What's his name? Kanye alluded to it. Didn't allude to it, called it right out. James Brown talked about it when he was in the hospital with pneumonia before he died. That there are people that want a piece of your action and you're going to give it to them or else. So they profit off of these stars. And yeah, I think it's a deal with the devil. Kind of like John Cena doing the humiliation ritual. Who knows what Taylor Swift, she's going to have to humiliate herself at some point if she is in that situation. So who knows what is going to be told to us in the coming hours, or what we might hear in the morning, or, I'm not going to stay up all night worrying about what happens to P Diddy. But I know I'm going to look at it with a skeptical eye, whatever happens. But no matter what, the bottom line is he will never be a free American again. He'll never be able to walk the streets of this country as a free person ever again. So what were they looking for? They were looking for electronic devices. They were looking for anything. And people like this, well, those mansions were immense. They said it's going to take days and days to search those places. And who knows what they're going to come up with. And I was listening to a broadcast about the Adelson situation. That's something, ongoing drama, where wealthy people decided that they didn't want their son-in-law anymore. And their daughter decided to agree. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you know about that story, but she just so happened to read out the definition of a conspiracy. And she felt it was kind of complicated. I don't feel it's complicated at all. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because like I said, P Diddy, whatever is going on, he didn't do it by himself. And a lot of people were in the reporting realm were discussing that his name whatever his real name is. His last name is Combs. I don't know what his first name is. I don't believe his birth name is P Diddy. But anyway, that wasn't on the warrant. Well, maybe not on what they were given. Who knows what kind of sealed indictments there might be. But the bottom line is, you can find, not you, I'm talking to the big U. I'm talking to the general population out there. You can find yourself in a RICO situation just by making an agreement with one other person to break the law. That in itself is a crime, even if you never do it. Did you know that? You plan to rob a bank and never do it. They find your plans, you're guilty. You and one other person, that's a conspiracy. Oh my. I'm just cruising through the chats. Hi, Jax. Georgia. How you doing? Linda Marie, how you doing? Ali. Let's see. Walter. Sean Combs. Okay, that's right. I did hear that earlier today. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. You know, he was born in 69, I believe. 69, so however old that makes him. I didn't know he was, I thought he was younger. But anyway, if two or more people agree to carry out a criminal scheme or to put a criminal scheme into effect, they're guilty of conspiracy. It must involve spoken or written words. Spoken or written words, that boils down to what I said. You got to have people on the inside, because you're not going to come into their mansion if they burned all the papers and destroyed everything and nobody was in there to hear or see what was going on, or get somebody to flip, make the birds sing. So anyway, the motive, why you're doing it, is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what your motive was. Hey, we did the scheme for, what's and giggles, Oh, he did? Well, sure is a accurate blueprint of the safe in the bank building and the sewer system outside. So you don't have to have a motive. And I'm using a bank robbery for example, but trafficking people, okay, laundering money, offing somebody, bribing somebody. I mean, the list of crimes that if you jump on board with, even if it's something you think is everybody does it, everybody goes to this musician and says, we want a cut, and this is what you're going to do. And you're involved with one other person, but in this case, we know it's dozens of people that are involved in different degrees of criminal activity. And even if you say, if it's a qualified agreement, if you say and you get caught on tape saying, I don't know about this, this seems kind of shaky to me, I'm not sure, that doesn't get you off the hook. It might make things easier on you if when comes time to pay a piper, but you're still culpable. So with that in mind, that definition of conspiracy, what are the components, and what juries are told, you must find them guilty if you find these very concise things, very few and concise things, that person's guilty of conspiracy. So when you look at it that way and then put it into what I was discussing, about RICO being applied via treaty internationally, okay, then you start to get out of thinking that notion is not a conspiracy. Okay, it's a fact that governments are cooperating primarily through their militaries to identify, zero in, and capture people who are involved in conspiracies, whether it's breaking the law in Russia, breaking the law in Vietnam, breaking the law in whatever country we have a treaty with. That's 11.4 treaties of the United States. 11.3 laws of the United States. So here we are in something that I discussed 2 years ago. And I had no idea when I suggested watching Dr. Zhivago and paying particular attention not just to the drama and the romance part of the story. It was Hollywood movie, for crying out loud. But how you're forced to stay in a conflict. Even a professional person like a doctor. When you get home, your house is overrun by riffraff. Because that's just the way it is. It's not your home anymore. You're not allowed to have money anymore. You have a ration card. Think social credit scores, okay? Your ration card level 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is the bottom of the barrel. Subsistence, okay? A bowl of rice and a closet to sleep in. He came home from war and that's what he had. His wife, his child, his father-in-law were crammed into a little corner of the house they used to live in. When they tried to escape to a faraway part of the Soviet Union, to a second home they had, there was a sign on the door. If you took that sign down, automatically, you know what? Pow, pow, over with. No trial, no nothing. The nearest commissar took care of you. And there was no dissent. You were called a counter-revolutionary. Confiscation of property. I had no idea that this would come applicable to what we were all wondering this morning. Are they going to do that to any of Trump's properties, put a sign on the door and take that man's property? So, yeah, we watched this stuff. Like Truman said, you want to learn the future? Read a history book. So, yeah, we're finding out that's true. That's true. How many new Hollywood movies have actors you have heard of? Well, the Hollywood's been pretty much shut down, and they're blaming it on the CVID, and we all know that's not the case. Why is Robert De Niro living in fear? Why was P Diddy Combs saying we got to get rid of Trump, we got to get Biden in, and reading a rehearsed line about Trump being racist, right? So because they know justice is the word, and the rest of it is coming. It's coming. So, you know, I put on my thumbnail, Storm Squad is real. And how many of you, whoa, I didn't get kicked off, did I? How many of you saw Putin, a video of Putin working with a Falcon working with the Falcon and talking to a young lady who was training the Falcon. And it was pretty cool. Did I get a screenshot of that? Yeah. I'll see if anybody saw it. Yeah, the Falcon was named Storm. Miss Mindersue said 5 by 5. Good. I didn't get cut off. Well, anyway, he had a Falconer's glove on, and this Falcon flies, swoops down low to the floor. They were in a big warehouse-looking building, and the Falcon comes up and lands right on his glove, Putin's glove. And the young girl that was training the Falcon said, it's a very gentle bird. It's a loving bird, unless you make it angry, and it's like a storm. And so Putin said, so it's best not to make it angry, right? And the girl kept talking. She's a little nervous. She had things in her mind she wanted to make sure she said. And she's in front of the president, and she said, "But we would like to get your permission to name this bird Storm." And he said, "Oh, sounds like a good name." And in German, it's Sturm. In Russian, it's got a little difference. It's not pronounced Storm. It's close to Sturm. It's between Sturm and Storm. And he said, "Oh, that's a good name." And he said, that is that's the name of a elite group that we have. And they work in very dangerous, situations. Elite commandos, and they're called the Storm Unit. And he said he was referring to their actions in Donbass, especially since 2014. And they're an elite squad. And I believe that there's coordination. I believe we've got our own Storm units. And when they were raiding P Diddy's home, did you all see that everybody was dressed up in not the traditional black gear of a FBI, flak jackets, helmets, usually in black, and a SWAT team, they're all usually in black. Well, these guys were in camouflage, They were federal marshals. Remember, there was a large swearing in. The one I heard about was 200, but I believe it's around the country, it's more than that, of members of the U.S. military being sworn in, deputized as U.S. federal marshals, which is who conducted the simultaneous raid at 3 different locations, 3 different states, all the way across the country. I believe that's our own Storm unit. Yeah, Homeland Security was involved. I know it wasn't the FBI, but I'm saying traditionally, that's what you see. Even with U.S. Marshals, they, it could be STERM, Sturm, and German is STU. So, they weren't FBI. They were federal marshals, and they were dressed in combat gear. So, I'm just looking at the chats. See if any biological female. How you doing, Tennessee? So if anybody has heard if they have what is, I don't know with Antigua what our situation is as far as treaties, extradition treaties. It was funny that when the story broke, I was listening to the Adelson case because she was captured on a open phone line talking with an attorney that could look up countries that didn't have extradition treaties. And they fell on Vietnam. Now, they didn't have enough money well, if they had enough money, they could have some kind of contraption fly in the air, private plane, but they went and bought commercial one-way tickets. And she's sitting in the Hoosgow right now in Florida. National Guard is arresting civilians? I haven't never seen any reports on that yet. I don't know where it's going on. So anyway, I don't know what Antigua has in the way of extradition, or if they'll even allow him to fuel up and puddle jump somewhere else. I don't know what the range is on that jet. And you know, where are you going to go from the islands? Where are you going to head next? Sissy said headed to Israel. What makes you say that, Sissy? Single Songwriter says we have an extradition treaty with Antigua. Okay, there's a phone call they could make, and that's it. They'll park vehicles around that jet. They won't let him fuel up, and he can sit in there till he comes out and get taken into custody. And he'll be on a jet straight back. I don't know how he'll get to Israel, because they could issue a warrant for his arrest if he's even on the plane. Island of Misfit Toys. Ian said, yeah, that's a harmless comment I could put on the screen, not get in trouble. The cat, how you doing? Yeah, ask Oprah. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody's got any updates watching it with a side eye while we're doing a broadcast here, because we're not going to be able to track the plane. I saw another story that how your Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi doesn't have a camera in it, but how AI can use your Wi-Fi to project an image. And I didn't talk about Wi-Fi, but I talked about your cell phones. This was a couple of years ago. All you early people who have been with me for a long time will remember I talked about micropulses. Even when you think your phone is off. Micropulses, and it's kind of like sonar. And it can map out shapes in a room. Just like when I used to be on a boat and I had a fish finder, and it would send pulses down to the bottom of the ocean bed and send them back, and you'd see little images of what was under you, your school of fish or whatever, rocks, the surface of the bottom. You do the same thing in your room. And the Wi-Fi, they say AI has trained it. They've trained AI to take those micropulses and identify the shape of a human and create an image, like a video image of somebody getting up, walking around a room, putting on a pot of coffee, whatever they're doing. They don't need cameras in the like the FBI used to back in the day. They can just use the micropulses from Wi-Fi or anything, your Alexa or your whatever device you're using. Just like I was saying, where they had an app. This was 15 years ago, folks. 15 years ago, I had another device. I could download an app. I could put the device, the other device, in my phone, and if I had lost it, I could go, where the heck is it? And I hit the button, and even if it was off, it still sends out some manner of signal. That's where I learned this. And it would show me the location on a map, a Google map. Then I could go into an advanced setting and turn the device on. Then I could remotely cut the camera on and the sound. The phone would not light up. The phone would stay black, but my camera could record everything in the room if it was 50 miles away. 15 years ago, I could do that on a private, generally available app out of Google stores, Google Play Store. And that's when I learned, hey, if I can do it, they can do it. And of course, you see right away what the dangers of that is. You know, if somebody gets your whatever that number is of your phone, that a lot of times they had it printed on the back of your phone. They don't now, but they used to. Somebody could get that number or look in if you kept your box for your phone with a book that came along with it, it's got the IEN number, I think it is, the IEN number. All they have to do is put that in their phone, and they could spy on you. So a lot of these things are being verified. Whereas 2 years ago, I sounded like a nut, a paranoid nut. That no, the Soviet Union, the Bolshevik Revolution, where they seized people's property, all that stuff was an aberration. It happened a long time ago. It could never happen today. Well, it's getting to the point where a certain percentage of our population want us to live that way. They think it's a good thing to live that way. These non-governmental organizations, turns out they're going to the other side of the border, right? Island girl, how you doing? BRSH, Bush, whatever, I can't pronounce it, but how you doing? Yeah, that's right. They can get into your smart TV. That's why I've got a console TV from the 1960s. I'm going to keep it, and that's what I'm going to use. Put my phone in a shoebox and stuff it back in the closet somewhere and sit down and watch a movie. Watch some Clint Eastwood movies, Dirty Harry movies. But anyway, I forgot the subject going on. Oh, these non-governmental organizations are giving instructions to people on the other side of the border on how to be a squatter. not just to get the air quotes emergency help like food stamps, housing, gift cards, credit cards, everything else they hand out to them, but also tell them the finer points of squatting where you can't get thrown out. And then we watch a video of a woman who's trying to get somebody out of her house. She ends up getting arrested. We see a story where a woman goes to her mother's apartment where her mother had passed away the month prior, and they find her body in a duffel bag. And the squatters stole her Lexus. This, I believe it happened in New York. They caught them. They wrecked the Lexus in Pennsylvania, and that's how they caught them. If they hadn't wrecked it, who knows where they'd be. Wait a minute, what are we getting into here? Conspiracy. Conspiracy. And I'm not talking about the ones who wrecked the Lexus. I'm talking about the ones who cooked up this idea of sending operatives over there with those kind of instructions. What does Putin call them? The sponsors. The sponsors. You know, that's the other thing. And I keep referring to the Adelson case because it's got so many examples of how, if you're involved, you could be 1,000 miles away. And if in the exercise of the criminal scheme that you were a part of, somebody loses their life, you're just as guilty of red rum as the person who pulled the trigger or did whatever. So these eggheads that are pushing the destruction of our culture, our nation, our laws, remember that duffel bag and what happened to that lady, because you're just as big a part of it as the ones who committed the act. Does that make sense, folks? When we're watching trial after trial, drama after drama, like I said, we won't need Hollywood. We won't need General Hospital. We're going to have so many intriguing stories to watch. Hollywood will be memory. Now, they may recreate some of the stories, and they'll be told, just like after World War II, for years afterwards, we were seeing PT 109 movie. We were watching movies about cowboys and Indians. We were watching movies about the American Revolution. Maybe there'll be some historical reenactments or dramatic reenactments, but there's going to be stories that have to be told, and people are going to want to hear them. It's going to be unbelievable. And it seems like a complicated spider web, and it seems like, oh gosh, there's so much and it's so complicated. Nobody's ever going to understand. They're not going to know why we feel the way we feel. But it's just like it says in the Bible. When people see how pitiful and ineffective the devil is, they will mock him for his stupidity. That's a paraphrase, but that's what it boils down to. And that's what we're going to get to. These people are stupid. The only thing they got going for them is they have control of others. They have control of puppets and power, positions of power, who can hide information, who can lie, who can manipulate money, who can manipulate the media. That's why we think it's such a big puzzle that can't be put together. But believe me, It's not that big a puzzle. It's not that complicated. We're dealing with common criminals that are being guided by very diabolical, devious people whose goal is to harm humanity, to subject humanity to a way of life that enrages God. That's what the goal is. And how do we resist? We live in a way that pleases God. We're immune to their stupidity. But America's out of shape, like General Flynn said, spiritually, physically, emotionally, we're out of shape, especially when you see so many parents who tolerate or even feed into this business. Their kids come home from school with their head pumped full of crap. Parents have not in the past taken a stand, have not even recognized it until it overwhelmed their household. So now we know Reagan used to say there's a bear in the woods. People have said the barbarians at the gates, there's a wolf at the door, however they want to put it. My dad used to say Satan is walking this earth. People don't know it, don't want to accept it, or don't believe it, but Satan is walking this earth, however they want to word it. It's dangerous, it's real, and it's been coming after us for a long time. And now is the time and the hour. Trump put out a statement. November 5th will be the biggest day in this nation's history. I was talking to a friend the other day who said he doesn't believe any of this, and he's thinking about not even voting. Don't ever think that way. Don't give up. Because, and I keep repeating myself and tooting my own horn, but I said a long time, over a year ago, that this has to be our victory, where the credit goes to the people. And the only way is for us to exercise our right in an overwhelming manner to have a righteous and glorious victory, just the words Mr. T said. And my thoughts are, they're going to try to take it from us. And the more, and I've said before, people don't care unless their ox is getting gored, right? Remember I said that? The people that voted for Biden didn't give a damn about the evidence that showed what actually happened. They don't care that our rights were taken away. The more millions and millions, tens of millions of people who get on board, take their sacred vote and speak up for Mr. T, that many tens of millions of people are going to be PO'd when they try to silence them. Their ox will get gored. I believe that's the strategy. I believe that's the case. Mark my words. That's when the people are going to demand change, and it will be demanded in a peaceful, civil manner in accordance to the Constitution. Look how much abuse we've taken and remained peaceful. And we will continue to do so. And look how much we've rattled their cage. We got 7 months. But even beyond that, we got 9.5 months till an actual swearing in. That's a lot of time for them to cook up stuff. And that's not even taken in consideration to all the things they might try to do as a black swan or a double F. Okay, you guys know what I can't say. You know, and when I was looking at that young girl who had the Falcon with Putin, I mean, here's a disciplined young lady, takes her responsibilities, her trade, or her training seriously. You could see that she was proud to be with the leader of her country. You could tell that she'd done excellent work with that beautiful bird. She wanted to express how the bird is got just a gentle, quiet nature until you make it angry, and then it's like a storm. You can tell she's in touch. Whether or not liberals or whoever, whatever words you want to call them, whether they know it or not, the Russian people have been through a lot. I talked about Maiden, okay, back in 2014. The economic hardships. They're losing sons, okay, fathers in this conflict too. When I see somebody like that, and not just her, but my fellow Americans or people in any nation that are proud of who they are, where they came from, and they're doing their best to live a good life and be productive and to be in tune with how life is going and how you want life to be, their resilience, their determination, their courage inspires me. And I think to myself, there's the flaw with the people we're at odds with many times. They see people showing courage, determination, and resilience, and they curl their lip. They want them to fail. They want to suppress that human spirit. I think that's where the difference is. It inspires me. It makes me have chills, really, when you think about the two sides. When you see an athlete excel, when you see someone make their dreams come true, when you see somebody struggle, and they get there, they win, they make it, it makes you want to stand up and cheer. It's the ones who stay in their seats with a sneer on their face. The hardened hearts. That's the ones that we're up against. You see a kid, an innocent kid, really enjoying, exploring life and finding out new things. And in my mind, normal people say, wow, you know, I love seeing somebody learn and be excited to confront their future with a smile and industriousness. I want to keep them safe. I want to have a society that encourages them to succeed, excel, enjoy. What the hell is it with these other people that want them to eat bugs, that want to say, come here, young person, put down that ball or
Quit trying to make that airplane. Come here, I want to talk to you about, have you thought about whether or not you're a boy or a girl? What the hell is wrong with these people? So, you know, a big part of a nation is that we mutually want to uplift each other. We mutually want to protect each other. We mutually want to see people enjoy their lives and to be safe from fear. The other side of the coin is there are people who, as I've said many times before, get pissed off whenever they see somebody having a little more fun out of life than they're having. And if anybody listening to me is part of that crowd but doesn't know it, and you say to yourself, maybe I am looking for fault, hoping for failure in others, maybe I need to change my way of thinking. You'll enjoy your life more. Your friends will enjoy your life more. Society will do better. Give it a try. But anyway, I know that doesn't have anything to do with the here and now and what's going on. But what I just said, you couple that with the concept that was identified, that's always been with us, but was finally put in a word, a psychological term called Schadenfreude. The joy or happiness from seeing others suffer. Couple that up with what I was just talking about, and we start to see the nature of evil, folks. The nature of evil. But they cloak it. They cloak it in do-gooder ideology and goals, like climate change, fighting the patriarchy. No, they're fighting God. They're fighting the Word of God, God's own creation. And the minute it has to be established as a fact. The minute somebody approaches a healthy young child and makes them uncomfortable or doubting their identity or their purpose on this earth, they're committing a crime. They're abusing that child. And of course, if they come to them with any kind of indecent discussions or lewd and lascivious discussions, of course they are committing a crime. But I'm talking about dealing with a kid, especially if they're not your own, dealing with a child in such a way as to cause them psychological discomfort about the basics of life. You're in trouble if you do that. And that's what we got to do from now on. And like Trump said, he wanted quick trials for drug dealers, and he wanted the ultimate penalty with quick trials. And he said, the last time he discussed it, he said, I don't think America's ready for it yet. Just like he said about 6 years ago with the information about the Kennedy assassination. They asked him if he was going to release the details about the Kennedy situation. And he said, I don't think America can handle it. I don't think America is ready for it. He said the same thing about the death penalty for drug dealers. But he did end up by saying, they will be, and I'll know when they are. I'll know when they are. So I cogitate on that. Why would he say that? Because in my mind, in my heart of hearts, what I would like to see is a big event that's going to stop this madness and restore our republic We're all waiting for that. We've used the term mass arrest. We've used a lot of different terms. But I'm afraid America's not ready for it. I'm afraid it's like General Flynn just said, we're still out of shape. And that it is his way of letting us know we got more darkness to walk through, folks. And the dangerous animal is in a corner, like the story Putin said, with the rat at the foot of the steps when he was a kid. It attacked him when he had the rat cornered. And he let it get, he got away. He was a kid. He didn't let it get away. It just got away. And he learned a lesson from that. When you got him trapped, go ahead and finish him off, is what he's saying. So be prepared for some discomfiting moments, okay? And let's hope that this P Diddy is the first domino. The first domino. And one place was raided in Florida, Miami, right? What kind of penalty do they have now in Florida for that kind of behavior? Remember? P. Diddy's got to think about that. You better spill your guts, P. Diddy. So anyway, let me just check the chats. There, everybody's going to bed. Oh, there's a live demon. Yeah, they sound possessed. They're showing themselves, and we're going to see more of it. Let them show themselves. Let people see what is going on. But let me tell you something. I knew he was going to do something, because you had Ghislaine Maxwell, 20 years. You had R. Kelly, 40 years. Look what happened to Epstein. There's no way he was going to hang around. No way. So let's see what happens, and let's hope that it leads to a lot more. So anyway, folks, I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. Thank you, Mike and Bev, for helping out with Buy Me a Coffee. I really appreciate it. Gary and Miss Mindersue and Lone Wolf and everybody that's helped me out in the past. I do appreciate it. I don't have my list here, but everybody's helped out this past week and all through the history of the channel. I appreciate everything you guys do for me. Okay, I'm just seeing what. Hang around. I see what you did there. Yeah. Hey, Ivan, you're welcome, buddy. Camperman, did I see you come in? I snuck in on me. Dixie. All right, folks. Once again, thank you. And I don't know if I'll broadcast tomorrow or not. We'll see. I got a little story to tell you all later in the week. I alluded to last night, but we'll see how it goes. And so make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe. And to my new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.